So my name is Surrinder Kaur. So I'm 68 years old, and I've come here because my parents have been in UK since 1950s. I was born in Birmingham, but went back to India. So my parents came over because I think it was after the war, and they needed more people here. So they were asking a lot of Asians to come over to help with their production in the factories. So my dad came over and my mum in 1950. They came over in Birmingham. So I came to Chippenham when I was 6 years old. So in our house there was my mum and dad, my two sisters and my three brothers. So we grew up where there's no Asian families around us, but because my mum and dad were very strict, we had to stick to our proper traditions, though they were not religious, but they were very, very hard on tradition. So we had, like the girls had to keep their legs covered, not allowed to cut their hair. So we had like two lives living in Wiltshire actually, because when we used to go to the school, there was all English people. We were the only Asian kids there. So we used to go to school like having an English life, but as soon as we came back home, it was proper Punjabi Indian life. So for girls, I think it was very hard if you're Asian, like having all friends that were English, because when we used to meet up, we had nothing in common. I had nothing in common, nor my sisters, to talk to the girls about, because we were not allowed to go out, not allowed to do the fun stuff that all the English girls used to do. So at home, we were only allowed to watch certain TV programs. I remember when my granddad came over from India, I think it was near 1966, we were not allowed to watch any programs. Like if we wanted to watch EastEnders or any sort of soap, we were not allowed to watch them. Then my granddad would turn the TV off at 7 o'clock, so we were not allowed to watch TV after 7 o'clock. Actually, we did not face any racism because we were very lucky, because I think because we were the only Asian kids there, all the teachers, all the kids used to love like to come and hang around us. But we never spoke that much to them because, like I said, we didn't have much to tell them about our lives, because at that time, the English kids did not know much about any Indian cultures or traditions. So in the house, our mum was very strict with us. She used to like make us every weekend, even sometimes in the weekdays too. Every weekend we had to do like help her clean all the house. Then my dad said we had to take in turns to do cooking. My dad actually himself used to make the Indian pakoda stuff or Indian curries and taught us how to make or stuff like that.
Wow, so your dad was the teacher?
More cooking side was my dad, I would say. So our food was mainly Indian, but then when my granddad, I think he just felt sorry for us. Every Friday we were allowed fish and chips. In those days, the fish and chips cost 50p, and I remember every Friday, like 50p in the 1960s was a lot of money, and he used to give us 50 pence, and that bought fish and chips for all of my sisters and brothers. Oh, we loved fish and chips, and we used to look forward to it so much. We used to be so excited a few days before Friday. So to interact with all the English society, I would say, because sometimes we used to feel embarrassed if we're going out. Like we were never allowed out on our own to go and play with our friends. So we used to always go out with our mum or a brother or a sister. But because we were dressed different, I remember because when I was about 12 years old, was learning to sew myself. And the Indian trousers that we had to wear with the dress, I remember cutting the sides, putting a different colour strip in it, and I wore it, and I was saying to my English friends, oh look, I've got new trousers. They got like a stripe down the side to make it look like it was English. Yeah, at the time, I think we were more embarrassed because we were not allowed to go out and stuff. But about the culture and the traditions, I think we were, because the other kids didn't understand. So I think we just did not know, we were so young, we did not know how to explain to them or make them understand. So maybe that way we just felt like, oh no, you can't speak to them about it or tell them about it. So getting married, first, obviously my sister had already had arranged marriage, so she went through with it. But where we lived, like obviously in Wiltshire, in Chippenham, there's no Indian Sikh temples, no Indian shops or stores to do your catering. And I remember for my sister's wedding, I don't know how I found them, but they came from Gravesend, did all the catering, and we hired, it used to be the King's Head double hall. So we hired the 2 halls. One, the prayer, the Guru Granth Sahib from Swindon came and we did the prayers in the top hall. Then the downstairs was for the reception. So we did all that for my sister. Then obviously a year or so after my turn came, my granddad from India already found someone for me. And then when my mum showed me the picture, I just said, yeah. And then I was telling all my friends, I was then 17, started working. And I was telling my friends at work, oh yeah, I'm going to get married because my mum wants me to. And I'm just going to do what I want to do. When he comes from India, he can do what he wants to do. Yeah, at that time, because my dad had already passed away, so we were like very, sort of wanted to keep our mum happy, obviously, because we'd lost one parent. So in my head, it was, yeah, definitely want to get married, going to go through with it, but we were going to live with our mum because obviously my husband was coming from India. And I was saying, yeah, so that's fine. I would get married. I'll tell him he can do what he wants to do, and I'll just do what I want to do. I wanted to do, obviously I thought, my mum used to say, when you're married, you can do whatever you want. I thought I'm going to cut my hair. But when my husband came along, he was even more stricter than my mum. So we did go through the wedding and everything was fine. And then my husband used to stay at home because obviously he didn't have no family here. He stayed with my mum at home and he couldn't speak no English, couldn't write English. So then slowly, where obviously it was very hard for him now, I realise how hard it must have been for him. He's a year younger than me. I was 20 at the time. He was only 19. But we used to just leave him, and my brothers and sisters, or we sit there with our friends just talking in in English. And bless him, he used to be just sat there one side, not saying nothing. And now I think, oh my God, I was so horrible to him. But bless him, he worked so hard at Westinghouse, and the English people were so nice to him. He did any jobs, because my brother used to say, long as you tell him what job, explain it to him, he might not speak or say much, but he would follow it and do it, which he did. And he worked in the same company for 35 years. First it was nights, then it was days. And then we just got on so well. We had 3 kids, a lovely house. And now 47 years down the line, we're still happily married. Not only after 2 years after. So we lived with my mum. First, my husband didn't get a job straight away, so that was fine. He was just living there, keeping my mum happy, making the tea and stuff with her. And because he came from India, even one of my mum's friends used to say, oh no, let Lucky make the tea because he makes really good tea. And I said, oh, what's the difference with this tea? He said, oh, I make it like they make in India. And he used to stir it, give them this really good tea, and they all loved him. So yeah, because we were like proper Punjabi because our mum, like I said, she was very strong. Like even when I was married to my husband, my mum said, no, you're not going in a cafe, not going to the cinema, not doing anything. So my mum was very strict with her traditions and our culture, though they were not religious, but very, very stuck with the culture and traditions. And she would say, no, you have to do this, you have to listen to him. And then when he got a job, obviously, we got closer and closer. And then, because he used to do whatever I told him to do, we were getting on really well. Then when we bought our own house, which our mum said, yeah, we'll start looking for your own house after 2 years. That's when we got more closer. That's when we had our kids. Because she's been over here, my mum had been over here since the 1950s. So in her head, it was stuck. One thing, because she lost our dad, she was still quite young, and in her head it was that she wants to bring her kids up to the proper traditions and culture. I think they wanted to keep their kids closer and everything because they were brought up like that in the olden days. So I think that was stuck in their head. And same, obviously, our mum put it into our heads. Then our kids, obviously, my husband, because he came from India, was so strict, said they have to marry all into only Sikh families. And all our 3 kids, obviously, they graduated, they got kids now, but they're married all into Sikh families. So I think when it's already bedded into your head, and someone really strong person, whether it's your parents or your older siblings, telling you, and that's how you're brought up, is your culture, is your tradition, then you just go along with it. So yeah, so in a way, I would want my grandchildren to be free because I think it's much more better for them to make their own choices instead of keeping them like we were brought up. though it's good for everyone to stick to their traditions and cultures, so our grandkids do go to the Gurdwara, the Sikh Gurdwara, and they understand, they go to Indian weddings, but I would not be wanting them to like be having arranged marriages and stick to the same traditions like we did. I would want them to adopt like a bit of Indian traditions as well as the English ways as well. So maybe they could say you can marry a Sikh Punjabi, but you can get to know them and go out with them. So I think I don't know if I'll still be alive when they get married, but yeah. So I would want that. Like if it would be so nicer if we had the same Sikh weddings tradition and the culture carrying on. Otherwise, it's just going to be wiped out. So we bought our first house on Marchford Road for, I think it was £15,000.
What year was that?
That was 1979. Can you believe that? 12,000 or a bit more, but around that, 13,000, 12,000, 13,000 pounds. But then from work, we only used to get like £12.50 a week. The only way we could save money was my mum used to look after our kids when I went to work and my husband used to go to work. So we'd sort of tried really hard to save one person's wages and just spend one person's wages on the house and the food. So when I moved into our own house, obviously a year down the line, then I was pregnant, had my older daughter. So then my life was like more or less the same because I wanted to go back to work because we needed the money. So then I used to take my daughter to my mum's house, drop her off there and go out to work. So my mum was still like sticking to her traditions and that, teaching my daughter as well about our Indian culture. In England I enjoy because here everyone's got the right of the same rights. Like I think in India there's quite a lot of corruption going on. So here, I think everyone feels free and safe. I've been to like obviously quite a few countries in the world, but I always feel safe and free in England. As soon as I land at the airport, I feel so much safe because, here you are safe, I think, in a way, because we trust our doctors, our police force. So that sort of makes me more safer and more free here. In England, the safety, I think, and the trust. I value more the trust in the people running the country, I guess. I see myself, because I always say, when they say, it's only recently I've started learning, obviously I'm British, and I say to my husband, is it because I got a British passport? Because I still used to say I'm Indian. But obviously, because I was born here, even now when people ask me, I always say, I'm Indian, but I was born here. Then they say, oh, if you're born here, then you're British. Then I started saying to my husband, is it because I got a British passport? I'm British. Obviously, I am Indian, but I still say I'm Indian, though I was born here. So I am Indian British. I think I'm not one or the other. I think I'm both, in a way. Because when I'm with my society, then I feel like I'm proper Indian, because we go to India twice a year now. And when I'm with my English friends, I feel like I'm British. So I'm both. Because like I was saying, my mum was very strict with us. We were not allowed to go out anywhere. And when my brother turned 18, the first time ever we went to the cinema with him, he took me and my sisters. And it was 1968, we went to see Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I must have been 11 or 12. And it was the cinema in Chippenham, Odeon it used to be then. Obviously then it became, what did it become then? I can't remember the name, but then it was Gold Diggers, but it was Odeon first, the cinema. Then, Classic. First it was the Odeon in the 1960s. Then early 1970s it became Classic. Then in the late 70s, I think it turned into Gold Diggers. But that was the first time ever we were allowed to go watch a film. That was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, 1968.
What was that experience like?
Oh my God. We felt so happy that we could go back to school, speak to our friends that we've been to see Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It was amazing. Yeah, I think I left work when I was 54, 55. So since then, I just feel so free. One thing, I don't have to work because my kids are all married, got their own houses. And my husband, like, he's getting his good pension. I only left work because my husband started getting a private pension, which was more than what we were earning. And he luckily got made redundant when he was 56 or 57. Because Westinghouse, where he worked in brakes, closed down. He worked in the same company for 35 years, and he got made redundant, and he started getting his private pension. Then that was enough for us to live on. So we both haven't worked all those years, and we both feel so free now. Yeah. Now the only way we enjoy ourselves, we do go a lot of holidays. We've been going to Canada, Vancouver. We went to Greece. We went to Goa. We go to India twice a year now. Then we spend so much time with our grandkids. So yeah, we've nothing to worry about, just freedom now. I think compromising and trusting each other. The way to make it last and work out, definitely compromise and trust each other. So I've learned about life like through experience. Obviously I'm 68 years old now, is to live for the day. Because no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So live for the day, be happy and just be grateful. Yeah, that's the thing I would definitely say. Like, I think people find too many things to moan about and complain about. Now when we go to India, like twice a year, when I come back, I'm just so grateful, because when you see the people below you living how they live, you definitely have to be grateful and thankful. So I don't think people should keep moaning about life. I loved everything about Chippenham. Obviously, one thing, it was very quiet, clean, and I grew up here. So I think wherever you do grow up, I guess you do just start loving it. But here I did love the countryside, and it was very peaceful. Now I am enjoying it where I moved to the Sipnam village. It was one thing, that was my dream, that I wanted to do yoga. I've never done any exercise my whole life. And I live like 10 minutes walk from a yoga studio. I've started doing yoga twice a week. And I used to dream about just walking to the Gurdwara, which I never had my whole life. And I got 10 minutes walk to the Gurdwara where I live now. So that's two things, oh my God. It's definitely so much important for me to connect with going to the Gurdwara. Though might not be very religious, but it's very good that I take my grandkids to the Gurdwara. So yeah, that is very important to me, to stick to my culture and the religion and traditions, because that's what I feel like, that's where I come from. So I want to carry it on. If we just forget about it, then it's going to be wiped out. So I want my grandkids to know about it and still carry on as much as we can.